Greetings and salutations, everybody. We are back with another episode of Abeyance, run as usual by Nick. So I'm just going to throw it over to him now because I'm not DMing. Haha.
Yeah. Thank you, Peter. I am told that this is our 10th session. Hooray. Last time you guys were looking into the death at sea of one Mr. Trelawney, who was linked to an investigation of one of the souls not reaped that you've been looking into basically for the entirety of the campaign thus far.
Mm-hmm.
And as it turned out, he might have been under the purview of one Davy Jones. So first, Reaper Gideon went to go and inquire about this, and when he didn't show up after a while or report back, the rest of you went to confront Davy Jones about it. You hitched a ride with Sharon, the boatman of the River Styx. Played a game of chance that he was very, very, very definitely cheating at.
Mm-hmm.
Called him on it, exposed his cheating to his crew, which kind of turned the crowd against Davy Jones and forced his hand into him agreeing to assist you. Although, as it turns out, it's not going to be as easy as him turning over Trelawney to your purview custody. Yes, that's the word. Thank you. Because he doesn't have it. But then, as it turned out, when he went to free Reaper Gideon, turns out he didn't have Gideon in his custody as he thought that he did. Let's find out how that happened, shall we?
I'm fascinated to know.
All right. So, about 24 hours prior to this, Gideon.
Mm-hmm.
You have a bit of a bone to pick with Davy Jones.
That I do.
Not to unnecessarily use a skeleton pun.
I mean, it's not like it applies to either of us.
Oh, he's a skeleton. He's a skeleton guy. So.
I was being facetious.
Okay.
He's a skeletish guy.
We're both very skeletal.
Maybe not a skeleton, but a skelepound, I'd say. So you decided to go and see a man about a dead man.
Yes.
And, well, you know how Davy Jones is.
Yes.
So I would assume that when you were going into this, you were kind of expecting that Davy Jones would, try and pull a fast one on you.
I did.
Or tell half-truths. Maybe you weren't expecting that when he opened up his locker to show you where Trelawney was, that he would kind of just kick you into it and try and lock you inside it.
I will admit that is less subtle than I was expecting it to
be. You were giving him too much credit.
I was giving him far too much credit, honestly. I was expecting him trying to bait me into a game of some sort that he could possibly cheat at.
Maybe you didn't have patience for that this time. So you're inside of Davy Jones' locker, the literal thing.
Locker.
Yes. Huh. So what I would like for you to do immediately is let me just take a look at your character sheet and just see if I can do a quick assessment of what would be the best thing to have you roll. Yeah, let's go for I think just general insight. You can roll this with advantage.
Sure, I can do that. 22. Talk about extremes in that roll, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Either a 22 or a 5.
Yeah, that's and you roll a 2 or a 19. Yeah, so good for the advantage there. Yeah. So, right away after a brief moment of just shock, very very brief panic, like, wait a minute, I'm fine, because although Davy Jones puts on this whole very big grand presentation of like, oh, I'm this, pirate lord kind of person. He is a reaper.
Yes.
He does not have any more or less power than you.
Yep.
And so he can't do anything to you with his usual tricks that he uses to corral mortal souls. So there is almost definitely a way for you to not at all, not with any great difficulty, get out of this. However, you're inside Davy Jones' locker right now.
Yes.
What do you want? How do you want to deal with that?
That is a very interesting question. What else is in here at the moment?
Okay. Make a perception check.
Absolutely.
Your immediate surrounding area is this kind of floaty, non-Euclidean space. There is an area around you that doesn't really have like color to it that you can describe.
Has Gideon been mazed?
Essentially, yes.
I rolled a 14.
This is essentially meant to be a kind of space that people cannot escape from no matter how much they wander around it.
Right.
However, the way that it operates is based on people having the same level of understanding of their surroundings as they would work in the physical world.
Right.
You have been in the underworld for, as far as you can remember, all of your existence.
Yes.
So you kind of immediately spot, the big bright glowing exit sign, so to speak. And you can make your way out anytime you see fit. It's just a matter of if you were, for example, on a maze on a piece of paper,
yep,
then the easiest way for you to get out of it would just be to go up or down,
right,
and you would get out immediately, even if the maze supposedly had no exit.
Right.
It is like that, except with space and general as a concept.
Right. Okay.
So once you just like look in the direction that most people who have just been alive would not even
think about
imagine
looking
to know how to
right.
look, you can immediately find your way out. Also, in terms of that, with your 14 perception, you look around and it seems that you are currently the only occupant of the locker. It seems that Davy Jones has either doesn't keep people within the locker for very long, or he just kind of like does it in case like someone's particularly troublesome, or they're a recent arrival and he just hasn't had space on his ship for them to serve a post yet.
So no one in here no one else within his locker at the moment that I'm aware of. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Is it possible to sense anything outside the locker at the moment?
Roll another perception check for me.
All right, I can do that. That is a roll I am theoretically capable of making. Okay, I rolled a 19. So yes, I can make.
That's a very good roll. So I will honor it and say that you kind of can perceive outside of the locker, but in that kind of muted sense, as if you were, trapped inside of a box,
right?
With a sealed lid. You can sense as you're inside this of him kind of storing the locker in its hidden place beneath the floorboards of his office. But you are also able to kind of very distantly see him kind of sealing it away, and then posting a guard and then leaving the office.
Okay. Is the guard posted inside or outside the office?
Inside.
That's a little inconvenient, but all right, give me a second. All right. Well, in that case, I'm going to start things off. All right, so right, I'm going to start things off by casting invisibility.
Okay.
Now, when I leave the locker, will I be stuck underneath the floorboards? Will I emerge above them?
You can pick that.
Good. Since I'm invisible, I will choose to emerge above the floorboards.
Okay.
I'm of course waiting until Jones is out of the room.
Right. right, we will make, I think, opposed checks here. I'll do a perception. You can roll stealth. You are invisible, so you have advantage.
All right. That is not my best skill.
God.
13.
I rolled a 2.
Well, there we go. Well, there we go.
Yeah, so you are now in the office.
Mhm.
You're invisible.
Yep.
It seems that the guard has not noticed you. He's just kind of like looking around the office, looking kind of confused while he kind of dribbles water onto the floor.
Yes, because he's one of Jones's crew, so of course he is.
He's one of Jones's crew, so he's perpetually having water fall off of him.
Mm.
Yes.
Fascinating. Well, I'm going to take a very quick sort of stealthy look around the office. I'm not going to basically do anything to make too much noise or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not going to move papers around. I just want to take a quick sort of glance at everything in here to see if I can pick up anything that might have anything to do with the person we're looking for.
All right, that is going to be a perception check. Then.
Okay. Very well. So, I can't really actively investigate without tipping my hand, really. Unless the guard is particularly oblivious.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't make someone oblivious. I can scare the crap out of them, but I can't make them oblivious.
Right.
And yeah. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you what you do see. You see a desk.
Mm-hmm.
There is some stuff on here that even you interpret as kind of being old-fashioned, because it seems that Davy Jones prefers to, for example, write with quill and ink, as opposed to even like anything that involves, typing keys or anything like that.
I mean, I signed things with quill and ink, but
yeah. And it's one of those kinds. This is a place that kind of screams like, it's a pirate's quarters.
Right.
So there's random like just skulls in different places, which are just kind of there.
Right.
They're clearly not even real skulls, which is kind of weird.
All right.
And yeah, there's some shelves of books that do look as though they are records,
Right.
but in terms of something that would indicate where, if you're looking for any particular one person, it's not lying out right now.
Fair enough. Well, I've been granted an extremely excellent opportunity to snoop.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm going to drift out of the office and find a quiet nook to step into.
Okay.
And I'm going to make myself look like one of Davy Jones' crew
Uh-huh.
with this guy's self.
I'm gonna be so wet.
And I'm a skeleton, whatever.
Soaked to the bone.
Yeah, indeed.
All right. Yeah, you are able to. I mean, I'm just gonna say that, like I said, I rolled a 2 perception before,
Mhm.
so you're able to get past the guard, who is not expecting anyone to,
Right.
go past him invisibly at this
Right.
point. As far as you know, David Jones didn't even properly explain what he was supposed to be guarding for.
Right.
So, yeah, you're able to. It's a big old pirate ship. You're able to find a shadowy corner and disguise yourself as just kind of a deckhand.
Yep. Well, I will basically spend time sort of doing deckhandy things and seeing if I can overhear anything about Trelawney or anything that's going on.
Okay.
So basically, sort of a passive investigation, as it were. I'm not trying to actively interrogate people because that might tip my hand. I'm not.
Okay. We'll treat this as, although you say passive, do an investigation roll,
Yeah,
and
I
we'll treat it as
didn't-
one that's like taking place over time.
That's what I meant more than anything.
Yeah.
All right, per investigation, 12. My passive, by the way, my passive on that is 19.
19. Because you can't roll below a certain roll, right?
I have the observant feat, so
Right. All right. Over time, as you kind of like just said about just being like, a guy just kind of miserably going about work on the ship, the same as everyone on the crew, except Davy Jones, who, is doing his best to just live it up. You overhear a couple people, kind of discussing rumors because, like you did not just like appear in Davy Jones' office. You went into his office with him. So there are some people talking about you, like, what the heck? What was that? What was with that guy? What's the captain want? Why does he want with the captain and all that? And so you hear rumors spreading around about that. There's a lot of confusion about that, but eventually, as you spend some time there, the ship actually descends beneath the surface of the ocean of loss. Does not seem to be in any way affected in terms of mobility. Like the sails still billow and stuff, even though that doesn't really make sense. And while you guys are underwater and people are still scrubbing the deck because, that makes sense. This is around the time that you overhear some people say, like, so, sounds like the captain's been kind of like jumpy, ever since the thing with the big shark thing. So there's someone there who has been there a bit longer, and some people say, does that happen often? Should I be worried that's going to happen? It's like, no. As far as I know, that's never happened before. I mean, I've only been here for about 2 years, but never heard of anything like that happening before. So other than, is something wrong? Because it seems to freaked out Captain Jones. Should we while we're under, is it okay for us to be out here? So this is something that has happened recently, you can tell. That you were not around for, but because it's so recent, like it's kind of still the talk of the crew.
Sure.
And people are, talking hushed voices because they're nervous about being heard talking about it, but you're able to, based on the fact that you're not a loud, bombastic pirate who stomps around and reveals his presence wherever he goes, you're able to overhear bits of stuff that they would hide from him.
Right. So the crew's worried something about a shark, and Jones is apparently worried by the shark thing, whatever it is.
Yes.
Interesting. Jones is actually worried by something. I mean, I know a lot of what he does is bluster, but
make a history check for
absolutely, I can do that. I can roll that at least. I did not roll well on that.
Okay. Yeah, no, this sounds very strange to you. It's like a freaking, especially in terms of like an actual creature wandering this ocean that's seemingly hunting like a living creature sounds very weird to you. And this is the first you've heard of something like this.
Yeah, it's not exactly my bailiwick, so. Huh. Fascinating. I very much want to ask questions, but this is not the time or the place to ask them.
Okay. You don't want to blow your cover.
Not yet. And
Understood.
Again, left to his own devices, Gideon is slow, methodical, and patient. And I left to my own devices, so.
All right.
I'm a little absent-minded about anything else. Any reasons why I might not want to be slow, methodical, and patient.
Right.
Cue at some point the rest of the group arriving on the boat.
Where's Gideon?
Oh, right.
Yeah, if you don't want to like push your luck or anything, or snoop around any harder than that, we can just assume that you're just kind of like keeping your cover.
I'm definitely aiming to keep my cover for as long as possible, but I definitely want to move about the ship as much as possible to pick up as much info as I can from various places and see if I can hear any mention of Trelawney or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will go ahead and say that like you kind of keep an ear out, and you do hear kind of versions of this conversation, this worry thing about
Right.
like, oh yeah, there's this huge beast. I swear it swallowed him whole. No, it didn't swallow him whole. No, did you see all the blood? It's like, how can you bleed? Aren't we dead? It's like, look, if a shark eats you, you bleed. Come on, like of course there was blood everywhere. It was horrible.
That just makes
wasn't
morphological
cranberry
sense.
It was cranberry juice.
I mean, it makes morphological sense. So Gideon totally, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, of course.
Well, I'm just imagining some like extreme like mascot for like a cranberry juice company with a shark. Sure.
Well, it's just ocean blood spray, you know.
Hey.
I
There
love
you
it.
go.
Oh, they came up with another hybrid cranberry juice thing. This time it's got hemoglobin in it. All right.
I mean, it's your daily dose of iron right there.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Emo goblin.
Because you were specifically listening for, okay, is anyone going to mention Trelawney? You specifically notice that no one is referring to, the victim by name. It's just that guy or that person that got eaten by the shark.
Right.
So no one seems to know even the name Trelawney.
Okay.
Which being associated with it.
Thinking on it, if it was Trelawney, that would make sense. Since he didn't make it to the ship.
You put that together kind of on your own. Like that was established in the last session,
Yeah.
but through context, you were able to put that together that was probably Trelawney. And if he was supposed to be picked up by the ship, then he just never got on board before this creature came and ate him.
Yeah, more specifically, Gideon's sort of thought process is, well, okay, if that's Trelawney and the time frame seems to line up reasonably well, then he didn't make the ship, and therefore that would be why they wouldn't be mentioning him by name. So it might act. It seems like they're decent odds that was Trelawney. Oh dear.
And of course, on top of that, you understand that this is supposed to be a thing that people aren't supposed to be talking about because it pisses off Davy Jones.
Right. It's possible Jones's control over his domain is not as absolute as he would like. Interesting. Intriguing. But yeah, other than that, I think we can roll forward to the rest of the crew showing up because
eventually you see while you're still undercover and are kind of trying to the ship surfaces, and you are able to spot eventually whether it's an immediate thing or not. There's Sharon's boat, and there are your investigation companions who are coming up onto the ship.
oh, yeah. Huh. Oh, wonder what they're doing here.
A giant arrow appears over your head. The reason why they're here.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm not sure it would really occur to Gideon that they'd be like, it's like, why are they here? I mean, I guess they're just following up the same leads I am. Okay, let's see how they handle that. Ooh, wait, they could be a distraction. I could maybe find some stuff out while they're here.
If you want to do that, we can do that.
That's
Sure.
totally what I'm going to do. That way I have an excuse for not having revealed myself to them while this is all going on.
There is absolutely a huge distraction that starts to unfold on the ship. Actually, make 2 rolls for me.
Okay.
Make a stealth check with advantage. Also make a perception check if you can.
All right. Stealth with advantage. 9. I might use my daily reroll in that 1 second.
Okay.
Perception. I want to roll that too before I forget. 16. Yeah, I'm going to use my daily reroll in stealth.
Okay.
Much better. 21.
21. All right. You are able to make your way anywhere you want to on the ship. You are, you're disguised as someone who is supposed to be here.
Yep.
Jerome, Ash. You're muted, Ash, by the way. Oh, maybe he stepped away. Never mind. We won't cover it. We'll just skip that point. So, where do you want to go?
I'm headed to JV Jones' office.
Sure. You step over to the office. Hey, that guard that he posted isn't here. Seems like something that distracted him and drew him
I was
away.
thinking that might be the case, and if it wasn't the case, I might be able to persuade him to go up above deck anyways. So
Sure.
well, I've got an opportunity to actually snoop in Davy Jones' office now, so I'm going to snoop in Davy Jones' office now.
Yep. All right. Give me a proper investigation check for
Absolutely.
the office.
22.
Oh my god. All right. So all right. So you start hunting through logbooks.
Yep.
So keep credit to where credit is due. You find Davy Jones does actually do his job as a Reaper, even if he takes too much pleasure in it is a huge jerk about it.
Sure.
So you look through logbooks and you find that he actually keeps a record of when the souls that he has reaped are put to work on his crew, when he releases them, and there are records that are dating back, hundreds of years to the age of piracy, when Davy Jones first took on this position of being a Reaper.
Right.
You look in the more recent section. And with your 22 investigation, the first thing you notice as you're kind of looking at the very, very most recent entries is that there is just the finest remaining traces of a page that has been ripped out.
Oh.
Just ahead of the most recent one that is on.
Intriguing.
So if you could, I guess, give me an insight check.
Absolutely. $17.
All right. So there are some names on the page that you're able to determine on here that are both prior to Trelawney's death and after it,
Okay.
or your approximate age. So, you see on the records like the date of death, the date that someone has been picked up and has started working on the crew of Davy Jones' ship, and then there is also a column to be filled in for the day that they are released from their service.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that there are people that would be before and after Trelawney's death that are noted on here, and that Trelawney's not on here.
Right. Okay. So he is. If he was supposed to be, there was an entry for him at all, it would likely have been on the page that has been torn out. If there is all things, it seems to be the likelihood.
Right. There are multiple entries per page.
Right.
I should say.
Yes. So Jones tore out a page with potentially multiple entries. That's.
It's sent. Well, I guess to spell it out a little bit more clearly, because I don't know if I'm actually hitting the things that I should.
Mm-hmm.
You get the impression that Davy Jones tore out this page and then copied down the information that was on it, with the exception of Trelawney's entry.
Okay, that's the okay.
And then disposed of the page, probably burned it,
Yeah, that. Okay, interesting. All right. Anything else of note in here, or is that it?
Yeah, you rolled well enough that I will also mention this. You after you find that, you have enough time while there's still a ruckus that is being caused on deck, that you are able to hunt through some other entries. And this is a bit tricky for you to do because you're kind of having to mentally remember locations and dates.
Sure.
But you also check the time and places associated with some of the SNRs that you had before.
Right.
Because this was something that you had been trying to do where you were trying to cross-reference stuff,
Right.
and you now have access to another set of records.
Yes.
You don't find like the name of any of the SNRs in here,
Right.
but you do see that someone has served on Davy Jones' crew that matches the time and place of one of the SNRs approximately. Like it's within like a couple of weeks of it in roughly the same place. And they served here starting about 3 years ago, and then served their time and then were released from the crew.
Okay. Interesting.
So that being said, you start to, after you have been digging through the logbooks and stuff, you start to hear, quite a ruckus on the deck. A lot of angry shouting and accusations in Davy Jones' very distinct, shouty voice, overpowering them and telling people to go back to work. And you start to hear feet scuffling around on the deck as people move
I
about
will
the ship.
put the logs back where they were and step out of the room and find a shadow to sort of lurk in while they whatever, to make sure I'm not spotted.
All right, just give me one more stealth check.
Sure, I can do that. Maybe. No.
Okay, 1 second.
I have an idea here, actually.
Okay.
I am still disguised as one of his crew. But
At this point, Jerome is looking for everybody else. Maybe he asked Gideon to find the captain's room.
I think that does match up with what we did last time. So, yeah, Gideon, you nearly run into Jerome, who has clearly been snooping around below decks. I think we'll do an opposed check here. Gideon, give me, I guess, a deception roll for your disguise, and Jerome, give me an insight check.
sure.
This might be a little bit of okay, never mind. So yeah, Jerome, you've just kind of like run into this very damp looking crew member.
He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking for the others. I was told to look for the captain's room."
Oh, the captain's room. Yes, it is just down the hallway there.
Jerome kind of like narrows his eyes and looks him up and down. He's like, "All right, thank you. Like, thank you, Ruben." And he walks away.
All right. 5 minutes later, Davy Jones has angrily told everyone that fine, I'll help you if you just leave me the hell alone. Has dug out his locker and kicked it open, and nobody's inside of it. He is perplexed by this. Yeah, so that's where we essentially left off last time.
Very well. I will drop my disguise from outside the room and walk in. Oh, good to see all of you.
Nice of you to make a call. Let us know where you were.
I told you I was coming to talk to Davy Jones.
What?
Captain Jones, it's good to see you again.
What are you? What? Wait.
I must say, I was not expecting the lack of subtlety of kicking me into the locker. You caught me off guard with that. Very well done. Well played.
Thank you.
So what brings the rest of you out here? Are you looking into Trelawney as well?
Look for Trelawney, and we thought you might have gotten into a little bit of trouble. It's been a couple days.
Well, I mean, yes, Jones here. Captain Jones did show me into his locker.
Yeah, but that was it.
That was it. I mean, I'm in the middle of the sea of loss on a boat, and yeah, I mean, I took the opportunity to investigate, to walk around the ship, investigate, listen on the crew, look at Jones' logs and such.
I mean, I guess
This is an invasion of privacy.
Yes.
No one cares what you have to say anymore.
Jones, when I came to ask you questions and ask for your assistance as a fellow Reaper, you kicked me into your locker.
Well,
He's kind of got you there.
That's a shocking lack of professional courtesy, Jones.
I never claimed to have professional courtesy.
Apparently not.
I probably did at some point, but never honestly.
That
I
is
don't think
in
you're
line with
helping your
you.
case.
Jerome was just like, what were you expecting him to do to him? Isn't he a Reaper too?
My point is, it's not a matter of disappointment you should be feeling, because, I never actually own it. Never mind. Look, the intricacies
When did I say I was disappointed?
Oh, well. All right, that's a little bit hurtful, but okay. All right.
That does sound a bit like projection on your part there.
Anyways.
Do you want to be disappointed in?
At any rate, apparently Trelawney was eaten by a shark?
Look, a member of my crew, well, a prospective member of my crew, would never be eaten by a shark. He was eaten by the shark, all right?
Oh, the shark. That's actually a distinction I will acknowledge, yes. That there's an implication there. Explain.
You landlubbers, all right. Just a second, we have to get... I'll continue this in a moment. We have to... If we're going to be doing this, I want to be done as soon as possible. Go ahead, Skitch.
I'll just it's like the things like he didn't die at a gun show, he died at the gun show. It like rips off his shirt.
This gun show. Davy Jones directs, kind of leads everyone out of the office.
Mm-hmm.
He gets up on a raised platform, essentially like a soapbox, in order to address his crew, tells everyone that they are changing course and to be ready to turn about. And he recites off these navigational terms and stuff. Do very, very, very old sailory terms like raise the mast, deck the sails, and all that stuff. And it's like, there you do see a couple of people that grab being like, we never actually lower the sails. They just kind of like work whether he wants them to or not. I don't know. The point more seems to be that it's making the crew work.
Right. Yes. No. Absolutely. Yep.
However, the helmsman does change course, and the boat does start to steer and in a different direction than it was before. Though it is a little bit difficult to tell. Because the sky doesn't seem to have features like stars to navigate by. Even though Davy Jones does pull out, what is that called? Is it a
compass, sextant, astrolabe?
sextant? It's a sextant. Yes, he pulls out one of those and starts to tinker with it while gazing off into the horizon through it, and. For whatever reason, it does seem to actually be doing something, even though, again, there's like no features to navigate by in this weird open sea.
It's his sea. I'm willing to acknowledge that he knows what he's doing.
Some time goes by, whereas he's just like making sure that the ship is on the correct course. But a few minutes later, he steps back down and saunters over to you guys again.
Mm-hmm.
All right. There is a creature what lurks in the ocean of loss that has been round, as far as I can tell, longer than I've been.
Mm-hmm.
It is, as the layman may put it, a shark, broadly speaking. This thing's not like any living creature that I ever saw while I was in the realm of the living. He describes this just like massive creature that is, bigger than his ship. And I think anyone here while he's describing this can give me a religion check.
Okay. I can do that, in theory.
Theoretically,
I'm not
can.
bad. It's one of my better skills, but that doesn't mean I will roll well. No, did not. That's fine.
12,
9.
7. Nice.
Okay.
Reiko did fine.
Okay. Let's see. Reiko.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I should probably also roll religion.
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
Hey.
Okay. Reiko, your book starts to thrum.
Ah.
Ooh, what am I thinking of? She says this out loud as she checks the book.
And Dentalian, as the book kind of falls open, anyone who wants to can kind of like look over Reiko's shoulder and
Oh no, they're
see-
reading my mind.
Yeah, there is an image of a shark, but it's cast completely in silhouette. It's just kind of like one of those, like you would see in kind of a nature book that it indicates like the size of a shark.
Right.
And this thing's like fucking big.
Mhm.
You figured that this thing has got to be like bigger than a school bus. And judging by, like the silhouette of a person next to it, but this is the only like visual indication that you have of it.
Mhm.
Dentalian, from kind of being around Limbo, you have heard these weird stories before of a being that predates Reapers as would be known, like in terms of like how you would think of them in terms of like, Gideon and the people that you have formed working relationships with.
Hmm.
But there's not a lot of details that you have heard about this. But it seems that this being that Davy Jones is so afraid of, and that he doesn't seem to actually know a whole lot about himself beyond like running into it occasionally, is that the reason why is because it is so old that nobody knows where it came from.
Hmm.
Dave Jones, is trying to tell his big horror story while you're also kind of like looking for actual information. And he talks about it. I was like, oh, we've crossed paths many a time, but fortunately, I have studied its habits, and I know the course that it takes through the ocean. Always make sure to steer clear of it, because I'm sure that if push came to shove, be able to survive it, if we had to. But why bother trying to go after it if it's not going to normally get into my business and I stay out of its? No reason for us to come into conflict, But in this case, for some reason, it completely changed course. It was not on the path that it normally keeps to. So when I went to pick up and bring aboard your Mr. Trelawney, what should I see but this massive, nefarious creature swimming like a missile through the depths? Or what's that like watery kind of version?
Torpedo.
A torpedo. Thank you, lass. Like a torpedo through the depths. Only a big fucking torpedo. A huge torpedo. It was very big and very fast. And before I could even think to relay the order to my men to work more quickly and bring in Mr. Trelawney in, snapped him up, and then darted about, took off back the way it had come.
Think of the biggest torpedo you could think of. No,
It's a
bigger than
huge
that.
fucking torpedo! No, bigger than that! Bigger!
Bigger than the biggest one you could
Oh,
think
you
of.
should have seen this torpedo! It were this big! Wasn't it a shark torpedo?
So was it bigger than a
Takes
bread
it, grabs
box?
an arm, rips it off, throws it so it gets further away. This big, okay?
Sorry, Peter, I missed what you said.
I said, so in fact, it was larger than a bread box.
No. Nothing's larger than a
Roughly
bread
about
box.
the same size as a bread box. Now,
I only can say it's larger than known properties. The bread box is an unknown variable, you see.
Ah, I see.
Is it bigger than
anyway-
a bread box, though?
And anyway, that's what we're going after now.
Yes.
So, hope you're happy about that decision, lads.
Well, let's go talk to a big fish.
It's not a big fish, it's a shark. It's a difference.
I'm pretty sure a shark's a kind of fish.
What?
Yeah, Jordan got a nod. It's like, yeah,
You're
like
thinking- you're
sharks are
thinking
good
whales.
fish.
Whales are not fish.
It is of the ethological.
I thought whales were
genus.
big sharks.
No. Whales are
Those are
like,
mammals.
No,
There
whales
is-
are bears that got bored of being on land and became what they are.
All right, now you're just messing around.
No,
Tell
Here's the
me
thing,
I'm
though.
serious. That like I remember reading something like that. Whales are just like big hairless bears.
Is this be like one of them zoo books I heard some of me crew talking about in ages past?
Yes.
Kinda, yeah.
Zoo tears.
I always wanted to know more about penguins.
Penguins are not noble and eldritch.
I knew it.
All right. So
Just like, let that just simmer for a while.
Davy Jones doesn't have to be the antagonist anymore. I'm not gonna,
penguin thing.
Davy Jones doesn't have to be an antagonist anymore. I'm not going to filter anything that I feel like saying. So
Just imagining Davy Jones encountering Gunther from Adventure Time now. The Eldritch Penguin that Gunther is. Ah.
Please, the most evil being I've ever encountered. Just let me harvest your soul. Wah.
there's a bit of time that goes by as you lot sail over across the surface of the sea, and Gideon, you are no longer dripping water, even though you had spent a good chunk of time underneath it.
Yep.
Because you were a reaper, and so you don't have to deal with that kind of shit.
Yeah.
You've mastered your morphological field
Yes.
at this point. But yeah, you guys have a little bit of time before you go and apparently go talk to a fucking shark.
Yeah. Excellent. Oh, Captain Jones.
Yes.
One more thing.
I hate it when he does that. Yes.
A question about a question about the name of the person I saw in there sort of linked up, seemed to link up a bit with one of the SNRs.
Okay. Let's see here.
What can you tell me about his situation and what happened with him?
Ooh.
If you don't have a good answer for that or don't want to do that, I'm happy to.
No, I rolled for him and I rolled a 1.
He's somehow visibly sweating, tightening his skeleton.
He literally like starts to scratch his skull with his hook.
I'll be honest with you, lad. I don't recall every single soul that comes across my way.
Fair enough. It just seemed to link up with one of the SNRs I was looking into. I was hoping to just scratch that off my list.
And that would be why that would be also why you came here to begin with, because it's linked to some of your cases.
That is correct.
Right. I'll tell you what. If I can find any more information about this, I believe it would be in my best interest if I just tell you about it so that you don't come.
Yes, then I won't have a reason to come investigate things around you anymore.
Right. Then we're agreed. I will,
Absolutely.
If I recall anything, or if any new information comes across me, you'll be among the first I'd report it to.
That is very acceptable. Thank you, Captain.
We have an agreement then?
We do.
You're not be coming here now no more?
Unless there is... unless I have a different reason to do so. I cannot...
Fine.
Very well.
He actually extends his hook hand out to you.
I will shake it.
Yeah. No more of the I grew a hand and
well
decayed it off thing. He just as you shake the hook.
Excellent. Oh, also, I must say.
No, that was your one more thing.
No. Just wanted to say that I was very impressed with your record keeping. It is very well done.
Oh.
I think even Jai would approve.
Even who? Sorry,
Jai.
Oh.
Jay. Is it Jay or is it Jai? I forget.
It is Jay.
Jay. I think even Jay would approve.
I somehow doubt that. But all right.
You might be right. He is even more of a stickler for details than I am.
Well, much as I like to do things my way around here, it is the way things are supposed to be done, and I... You! Raise up the mast!
I will just simply nod and walk off. I'll leave him to bully his crew.
Okay. Davy Jones does give you guys a bit of warning that in order to go and have a talk with this shark, you're going to need to go into the water.
Okay.
Right.
So his plan is to just drop an anchor down with anyone who wants to go and talk to the shark riding it down.
Okay.
Because he doesn't want his ship to be near the thing.
That is a reasonable thing. I'm fine
I get a
with that.
ducky inner tube.
He looks at you very serious as that.
No, that's going to be counterproductive, lad.
Are you sure? Is it like my shadow form starts to absorb it? It just sort of becomes very spooky looking.
So
What is it? Is it made of like dark matter now? Is it going to let you sink instead of float?
I don't know. I've never done this before. We're gonna.
Then why are you doing it now?
So, like, Jerome's take on this is, okay, then how are we supposed to get back up?
He does. You guys can all be attached to lines if you want to be.
I mean, I figure I just like take the chain up the.
You can also do that, yes.
Yeah.
But if you want to be pulled up individually, he can attach separate lines to you. It's just that, like, the easiest way to lower someone down is going to
on anchor.
Drop them on an anchor.
Yes. I will assume there's some way for me to get back up. I'm not going to sweat too much the details on this one.
Either there's a way that this is going to happen, or it's not going to matter.
Oh, it's going to matter.
Jones does go over some of his, like charts and stuff, which again, you guys are like, there's no land masses, there's no stars, so it's weird that he has maps to consult and all this stuff. But he says,
Unfortunately, the whole reason we were in this situation to begin with was because the beast decided to stay off of its usual pattern of movement. So hopefully he's back on it now. Otherwise, well, avoiding the thing is already difficult enough. Imagine trying to find something in this place.
I imagine it will be a challenge, yes.
but
I
he
can
comes
only
to-
imagine I can only imagine it's just a matter of yank the cord like 3 times in short succession. Ding, ding, ding.
That is accurate, yes. If anyone who wants to go down will be attached to a line, they can be pulled up individually.
Okay.
There'll be a team of people attached to the rope in order to pull them up. And fortunately, in this reality, not only do you not need to, breathe, but you don't have to worry about the bends if you're yanked up too quickly. So
Well, I don't really have blood to actually have nitrogen build up in, so.
Good
Like,
point.
I could go for a dose of nitrogen in my system here. Let's
All right. Anyone who wants to go down can go down as eventually the ship comes to a halt and kind of just parks because it can do that. It's the way the ships move. They just stop when you want them to.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's entirely how they work when they're run by Davy Jones. I will definitely be going down.
It
Yeah,
goes
Reiko
with-
will also go down. During the trip, she does have something she wants to say, though. She wants to
Sure.
say, so settle this first.
I will say, it's like instead of going where the winds take it, the ship goes where the whims takes it. And I guess
Hey! Or the
with-
windbag.
yes.
I mean, fair.
And with that, I guess you might as well throw Tan in there, despite them being even more out of place on this stretch of the adventure.
Yeah, Jerome was just like, I better come down too.
All right,
I'm definitely going down because,
All right.
yeah.
All right. All 5 of you are going down. Davy Jones will be accompanying you down on the anchor just to make sure that, he has fulfilled his end of things and brought you to the creature in order to, get this over and done with. He's not going to just dump you and leave you there because he knows that if he does that, then you'll just come after him and bother him some more. So,
Oh, not wrong.
Gideon will be insufferable.
absolutely. Yes. He's just kind of like, look, the easiest way to get rid of them at the fastest is just to go along with things until they're done. So
He's right.
Yeah, not wrong.
It took him a little while in order to learn that lesson, but he's learned it. All right, so that is settled in terms of who's going down. Fornea, what did you want to have Reiko be doing?
So, dead man's bones, huh?
Aye. Drowned man's bones.
Drowned man's bones, excuse me.
Mm,
That's a me thing, not a Reiko thing.
cool.
Bit of personal history in that?
What do you mean by that?
Well, they were your bones, and it's your
Aye.
game, and you came
Aye.
up with it. So is that how you went down?
Make an insight check for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's my passive. I kind of want to re-roll this, but whatever.
The impression you get from that is that Davy Jones probably gets asked that question not too infrequently. So he's just kind of honestly a little bit unimpressed to hear the question. He's like,
Look, what did it matter how I ended up here? Fact is, I am here, but I am still the greatest pirate to ever exist. So it don't matter how I wound up coming from the place you call the world of the living and the one that I currently occupy. Don't change a thing.
May not change things, but it is interesting to learn about interesting people.
No, it isn't.
Ah, I see.
You look at all the things I'm learning about you lot right now. Do I look like I'm enjoying myself?
I was like, I got this far without learning anything interesting about anyone, and I don't plan on starting anytime soon.
And that lets me know that I'm right.
This is not a cry for help. Sorry, it's too easy of a target. David Jones is too endearing to make.
Actually, this is I know you're not like actively doing anything here, but give me some sort of charisma-based check here.
Oh,
I think that they're
boy.
all I think they're all the same.
I
So
think all of them are just 0.
yeah.
Deception, persuasion,
Okay.
performance, Whatever that other one is.
Intimidation?
All of them are 0. Intimidation, yeah. All of them are 0. So
Okay.
All right.
I'll just roll the first one my mouse goes over, and you can interpret it however you will.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Holy shit! 20, nice.
That's a nat 20.
Yep.
All right.
Because of course.
Because sure, why not?
Every time Draco's gotten a persuasion check, she's rolled amazing, even, which is hilarious.
Funnily enough, I on a whim just rolled like a performance from 10. It's like that. It's also a 20, not a nat 20.
Davy Jones is a little bit befuddled by you, Reiko, which you're kind of used to at this point. From your
Reiko
whole
is
life.
Reiko.
So yeah. So he's just kind of befuddled by you and doesn't really know what the hell you're on about. So.
I will have Tan effectively aside into the conversation with. You have to understand that for someone like Reiko, a person of your reputation, is a bit of a celebrity, I would assume, given her interest in the afterlife. I'm surprised that she hasn't asked for like, an autograph or something.
All right, I'm gonna need a deception roll from you kids.
20. I like how the party said 3 consecutive 20s in a row in this.
You're not sure how a pirate skeleton man could look abashed, but he kind of does.
To be fair, Tan is actually being partially sincere in the fact that Reiko probably does think of people who were renowned in one form or another being the afterlife being interesting. So
yeah.
The only lie there is insinuating that Reiko actually would want Davy Jones's autograph.
And really, like, that wasn't even a lie. It's like, I'm surprised she hadn't. It's like, maybe.
But anyways, continue.
So you're just interested to know how my prestigious second career, as it were, began, are ye? Well, it all began in the autumn of 1322. I had just pillaged and plundered, and
he kind of leads you off, like, not kind of doing the equivalent of, like, he doesn't quite do this because you're a lady, and so this would be untoward. But he kind of does the equivalent of like putting his arm around your shoulders, and then his other arm points off into the horizon while he kind of goes.
No,
off.
I get you.
He starts to regale you with tales of. Honestly, he goes on too many tangents about how awesome he is and stuff. But you do start to get, an interesting picture that he starts to portray for you of how, like, because Davy Jones actually, unlike Gideon and as far as you can tell, unlike multiple Reapers, knows damned well where he started and how he got to where he is.
Right, yeah, that's what I was actually interested in the first place, because it's like, wait a minute, that's a very direct tie to, like, a personal history there, and most of the Reapers don't seem to really remember that too well.
See, now, unfortunately, this makes me think of something else now, Nick. So this is basically like the inverse of a Tim Rogers video, where all the tangents are about how cool he is, as opposed to down-talking how he is as a person. Got it.
Right. If he weren't so himself, he would be a very fascinating individual that everyone would want to get to know better. The real him is way more endearing than like the persona he puts out. I
will say I will say I'm legitimately happy that this is the outcome of the goading from Tan in this case, along with Reiko.
Yeah. Things kind of have a happy ending in this interaction. So I won't cover all the details for that right here. But yeah, you get essentially once you kind of like are able to kind of carve out the extraneous details of the things that Captain Jones thinks make him really cool. You kind of get this just interesting personal history of like, when he died, and how he came to be in the position that he is in, and like how he kind of like also developed his reputation essentially among pirate lore. This person who, like, you go to Davy Jones' locker when you die at sea and stuff like that, and why that is. But I won't give you all the extra things, like every little detail, but you do get a lot of insight into this that probably no one actually has ever gotten, because Captain Jones is very annoying to be around a lot of the
time. He's kind of a shithead, to be honest.
He's very him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much what Reiko was going for. Is like, ooh, neat. I think the best thing about Reiko is that she doesn't actually need to take notes, because her book takes notes for her, because it is her mind.
Anything anyone wants to do before you descend into the depths?
I'm good.
I'm sure
I'm pretty good.
I'm sure anything Tan does is just
yeah.
Sorry. I'm sure anything Tan does is going to annoy Davy Jones even more. So.
Yeah, don't push your luck. Yeah.
The Kentucky inner tube I'm wearing has developed glowing red eyes to match my own.
That's too adorable. I'm sorry.
But is it going to help you go down or not? Like, that's the important thing. That is the function.
No, but it has a squeaky nose.
Sir, I require a dinner first before I go down on anyone.
I was waiting for it.
All right, that was pretty good. I'll give you that. It's good. It's good wordplay, that. Hey.
Shit, are there any like cannons on the ship?
Yes.
So Jerome's going to go over to one of the cannons and look at a cannonball and look for one that's about 5 pounds, or say not a full size cannonball, but like a chase gun cannonball. Just kind of pocket that for later.
All right. Make a. I do need you to make a check for this. Make a sleight of hand check.
Sleight of hand?
Yeah.
One of those. I'm going to do that again.
Okay. Okay, you've got a mini cannonball. Sure.
All right. Just thinking ahead in case things go a little wild.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
He just kind of sticks it like in his bag and like.
Okay. The ship comes to a halt, and for once the masts are actually raised because it is supposed to be stopping now.
Right.
All of you kind of gather to where a very large anchor is, one that has space on it for all of you to either stand on or cling to or whatever.
Right.
And the crew also sets about tying very thick ropes across your chests and waists so that you can be hauled up if need be. And yeah, you are all given the instruction.
Oh, this is familiar.
A few of the crew members around you blush. Davy Jones has no idea what you're talking about. And Jones instructs you all to give a specific rhythmic 3 tugs on the rope to let the crew members know to pull you up if you need to be pulled up.
Very well.
I'll give you one warning. You probably won't have time in order to be pulled up if the thing decides to go after you. I am not making any guarantees of your safety, because that is something I cannot guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Sure.
Understood.
All right. Let's go see if the creature is down there.
And he steps onto the anchor, waits for all of you to take up positions on it or around it.
Yep.
and then has his crew shove it off, and you guys start to rapidly descend down through the ocean. First thing you guys notice is that it's not nearly as difficult to see as it should be. You know, there's a lot of stuff in the ocean that makes it hard to look through. But you can see, you know, as far as you can tell, like just kind of like space around you. There are kind of like spectral fish that are in the water as well, swimming in schools. And you descend through them. And eventually you reach a sandy floor as the anchor lands with a thud. Very muffled, kicks of sand around it as you've reached the bottom of this part of the ocean. There are rocks and weird, you know, like kind of algae-ish creatures surrounding you. And that is it for a little while. Davy Jones looks around and he is just kind of like very quietly looking out. And anyone here can make a perception check.
Sure.
Ooh, you rolled good for once.
Perceptron.
Passive 15. That's my catchphrase.
I have a comment about that for later on, but Tan rolls a 7. He's too busy trying to think of ways to avoid pissing off Davy Jones even more to be perceptive.
All right. Yep.
Yeah, 5.
All right. Jerome, you managed to kind of, as you're looking around, you're trying to kind of like see what Davy Jones is looking out for. You're kind of like going between looking around you to looking at him. And so as a result of that, you're able to see when he stops looking around and kind of focuses on something off in the distance. And so you look in the direction that he's looking, follow his pattern, the path of his gaze, and you see the waters in that direction starting to change. And they're kind of gradually, the change is kind of like gradually sweeping towards you. The water around you when you descended had that just kind of greenish blue tint to it that you associate with a lot of ocean water or like aquarium tanks, that kind of thing. The water in the distance and gradually creeping towards you has a greener, yellower, almost brownish tint to it, and it's kind of almost darkening the water as it approaches you. And Jones looks at all of you and he says, "All right, 'tis coming. I fulfilled me side of things for now. Once you're ready to return to the ship, we'll pull you aboard, assuming there's something to pull up at all. But I am not going to be dealing with that thing directly, and anyway, wouldn't do you any good, I'm afraid. So, best of luck to you." And he wraps his hook through an end of the rope above him and tugs on it rhythmically 3 times, and he's pulled up along the chain of the anchor and eventually up out of sight.
Jerome just kind of like make sure everybody knows what he was talking about. Kind of points it out. It's like, yeah, that's it.
The water, you kind of watch it creep towards you, this, different coloration to it, and eventually it sweeps through you and around you until all of the water surrounding you is this more yellowish tint to it. And eventually, a couple minutes later, you start to see a shape in the distance swimming pointedly towards you.
Yes.
Let me see here. Nope, never mind. Okay. As you kind of like are looking in that direction, you're following it. You kind of have difficulty like gauging distance because you're surrounded by water, and you don't know exactly how big this is supposed to be, even with the scale that you saw in Reiko's book.
Right.
So as the shape approaches, you're starting to think, okay, how big is this thing? And eventually, as it gets closer and closer, you realize that it is probably in excess of 50 feet long.
Is a big fish.
It has
a bigger one.
It has the shape of what you would recognize as, like a great white shark or a blue shark. But it is just excessively big for a shark of that nature.
I cast summon bigger fish.
That was the best joke from that comic.
Yes.
They had
a lot of good ones, too.
Yeah.
As it approaches, you start to see more details to it. It has this coloration to it that is at once like deathly white, but also pitch black. It's very weird to look at.
Okay.
And as it gets even closer, you start to realize that the face of this shark is partially decayed away. Sharks don't have skulls in the way that most people think of.
They have cartilage.
They have cartilage skeletal structures, if they can even be called that. But you see in the decayed away face of this thing, like that cartilaginous substance forming its jaw and part of its eye sockets, almost like a partial skull emerging from the front of this fish. And you also see little bits as a result of that dangling through the jaw of things that it has eaten that didn't make its way past its many rows of teeth. And now I'm going to need everyone here to roll a wisdom saving throw.
I kind of figured that was coming. Oh, by the way, Nick.
Yes.
As it is approaching, I've been sort of debating how I want Gideon to approach this.
Mm-hmm.
Gideon is going to intentionally shift his morphological field to that of his traditional Reaper form and bring out his scythe.
Okay.
So, big hooded cloaked figure, black cloak, giant, big sort of scythe, etc.
Yeah, you're going professional.
I'm going full Reaper, not.
Yeah, you're in uniform.
Okay, you do that.
Wisdom saving throw, you said, right?
I think Tan and Jerome are like doing the Shaggy Scoops thing here.
14.
That's a whole lot of garbage with those wisdom saving throws.
I'm amused over here that assuming that 14 is a pass, and I imagine it is, that the people in the best shape are Reiko and Gideon, the person who is fearless due to being very professional, and the person who is fearless due to being kind of weird.
Gideon, you can roll this with advantage as you take your Reaper form.
Okay, I will roll it again then. Not any better.
You are all under the fear condition.
I kind of figured I would be.
Yeah, I figured 14, considering the scale of this thing, 14 might not cut it, barely.
No, you didn't quite get it.
No,
you know what? Where's my thing?
You
Hellfire. I'll just do it.
You want to do your once? Sorry.
No, I tried.
Look, here's the thing. You guys are already dead. You know this thing can't kill you.
Yes.
But despite that, as it approaches you, the sheer menace that it exudes as this massive predator comes towards you with clearly no regard for your well-being, for your lives. You are overwhelmed by the thought that it is going to just not stop swimming at you. It is going to open its mouth and it is going to devour you, and you are going to be shredded apart between its teeth. And you are going to wind up as the bits that are dangling from its jaw. You cannot shake that thought from your heads.
I have a question. I would like to try to make an argument for getting an advantage roll out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Reiko did ask, who's his face? Jones, if it could communicate. And so she's kind of going into this with the idea of, all right, we need to establish communications. And I was prepared to do that.
You guys are all expecting to do that. It is not assisting you with this roll.
Okay.
You will occasionally, I will give you a chance to re-roll the save until you make it. And once you make it, you will no longer be under the fear condition.
Right.
However, until that ends, then you guys are going to suffer penalties to ability checks.
Fair enough.
Sweet.
Fortunately for all of you, once it is within about 30 or 40 feet, the creature slows. It never stops, and it instead starts to kind of drift a bit to the side. And you realize that as its swimming course takes a bit of an arc to it, that it is going to start circling you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And the creature says it's not actually talking, but you hear in your minds.
Yep.
So you have come.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what we've done.
I am Reaper Gideon. I'm afraid I do not have the pleasure of knowing, of having interacted with you before. Do you have a name?
Mm-hmm. In my time, we had no need for names. But since I have come here, I have taken to be known as Edrash Skeraket.
Very well.
I'm just going to flat out say you're spelling that in the notes.
Yep. I'll message it to you guys. Hang on.
Thank you.
I'm like, what?
Yep. Edrash Skeraket. That's how you say it. Where's God? I can never find the crew chat since things got moved around.
I'm sorry.
I know it makes more sense for how it's categorized. It's just like my instinct is to scroll in different places.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I apologize. I know that humans have a way of positioning themselves in order to have diplomatic conversations, but I find it easier to carry on if I do this. I must warn you all. Do not let me approach you from behind, or I may not be able to focus on our discussion.
Noted.
Duly noted.
Yep.
You can all repeat your wisdom saves at this point.
Do I still get my advantage on this, Nick?
Yes.
Okay.
Your Reaper presence is
come on,
giving you a little bit of a boost.
19.
Ooh, that's not one.
18.
Oh, I'm rolling garbage on these. This is one of my. This is my
great.
best
It's
save.
Smart. That's fucking great. That means it's capable of betrayal and lying and eating us anyway. Oh, awesome. That's definitely reassuring.
Are you saying this out loud, or is it in your head?
No, that's definitely what's happening in my head to justify the one.
Okay.
Jerome, who's standing next to the is like, why is the water warmer over here?
Gideon and Jerome, you are no longer under the fear condition. You are able to gather yourselves and conduct yourselves a bit more normally.
I will endeavor to make sure it does not get behind me. I will take that warning at face value.
And Jerome's like, that won't be a problem with me. He kind of spins his head around.
Yeah.
Now thing. and then turns it back.
You got your that's right. That's what happens when you're no longer the fear condition. You get your sass back.
Yeah.
So I can see that you have come into my domain purposefully.
Yes.
What business have you with me?
I've currently been assigned to a department investigating souls that have not been appropriately delivered to their appropriate domain after they have passed on. One of the souls we are investigating, so if I remember correctly, Trelawney is not an SNR, correct?
He's not the SNR. No,
he's not. But he's not an SNR either. He is actually ended up where he's supposed to be, and it is known where he is effectively.
Right.
Maybe.
Well, his soul is at some point in the process of being conducted to where it's supposed to go.
Right. Good.
As opposed to we don't know where it is.
Right. That's great. Beautiful.
Right. Yeah, we need him because
he might have information we need regarding someone else. Yes. One of the souls that has fallen into your domain might have information. We believe has information that might be of assistance to us in tracking down a different soul, the one that is, well, for lack of a better word, missing.
You are here on business of death.
Indeed.
That explains it. Very well. Then tell me.
Very well.
I know of the soul that you reference. I remember all things that have come into my domain and that I have consumed.
Very well. The question we would like to ask the soul in question, which we may have to, I am guessing we may have to address to you, Edrash Tekeresket. My tongue is tripping over itself.
If it is difficult for you to pronounce.
It's difficult for me to pronounce. Gideon would be pronouncing it correctly.
Gotcha. You're pronouncing it in full. Okay.
Yes.
Never mind.
Gideon is definitely pronouncing it in full correctly. I'm just stumbling over it.
That's okay. It's a complicated name.
It is. Hang on one second. I need to look up a name here. One second. Yes. We are investigating the disappearance of one Cecilia Teague, whom I'm assuming we may have to direct this to you since I forgot his name all of a ssudden. Trelawney, Mr. Trelawney has fallen into your domain. But we are looking for a Cecilia Teague, whom Trelawney. So I go into the details of what we know and what we're looking for, and why we think Trelawney might be able to help us in figuring out what happened to Cecilia Teague.
All right. Edrash Tekeresket is going to just hear you out in full. You can make a persuasion check. Since you're kind of going over the details and stuff, that's going to take some time. Yep. So Dan, Tan, Reiko, you can all repeat your saves. Reiko, you're good.
Finally.
Once keep rolling garbage.
Once you're kind of used to this thing being, around, it's actually kind of fascinating.
Oh yeah. Well, definitely. I rolled an 8. Unfortunately, despite it being my best skill, oh well.
If Reiko's getting out of it, could I throw an assist on that and make that an advantage? Basically, filling in details where it could be useful to further explain the rationale we're operating on.
I'm going to say that this can be, a group effort from the people who are still scared and the people who are not. So Gideon, you can re-roll that persuasion.
Okay, thank you. I do appreciate that.
And as kind of
how about a 25 instead?
I'm a good assistant.
There we go.
Not 20.
You have approached me in the guise of the being that we refer to as death, mimicking how it generally prefers to be seen.
This is the first form I'm aware of possessing.
I remember when that form was recent, how small it seemed, and yet, when it was initially worn, it did not diminish the presence of that who wore it. For you, however, it is almost a costume.
Interesting.
Yet I am reminded of the contracts that have been formed between us, agreements made, the roles that we fill. Anyone here can make an insight check.
I'll roll it, sure. No. I am out of my depth on this one.
The thing scrolled and I didn't notice the scroll and I thought it said that I've rolled a 9 with a +0 and I'm like, what?
That's right. I'm still spooked. I gotta.
Even with disadvantage, you got a 13 there.
Yep.
I'm still spooked, so disadvantage.
Okay.
Yep.
Reiko and Tan, you kind of realize, and this is hard to, kind of cope with, like a shark doing this. Edresh Tekerisket is considering what is not just Gideon's words, but also something else. You're not sure exactly what though. Reiko, you specifically get the impression that as calm and in control as Edresh Tekerisket seems to be in this situation, like you guys are in his domain, he has literally like full control over the situation and he can determine how it goes if he wants to. That something is causing him to be like either hesitant about something or curious about something that is going on, and that he's not really sure what it is.
Well, Reiko being Reiko, something seems to be giving you pause. Worry, concern, interest, curiosity.
Jerome's kind of like letting the paranoia
indigestion.
Indigestion. Nausea, heartburn, indigestion.
Oh no.
Jerome is kind of like letting this paranoia a little bit loose because he's, from the start of this, he's kind of suspected some kind of big conspiracy, and he's kind of like, perhaps you've made a recent contract with somebody.
No contracts necessary.
And I'm not even going to need to make you roll for that. Like, Edresh Tekerisket has no. You guys can make. Actually, you guys give me another insight check. Both of you who are engaging him in conversation right now.
Okay.
All three of you who are actually talking to him. But I'm just going to have Tan and Dan roll another wisdom roll, and you can roll this save with advantage.
There we go.
None necessary. You guys are fine.
I rolled the data on the second attempt, so that must be.
That third.
It's counter luck. We roll 3 times to take the worst.
22.
Right. Insight for Reiko is 22. For Jerome is 18. Gideon is 10. Gideon, you're kind of caught up on some of the stuff that Edresh Tekerisket said towards the beginning about like how long he has been here, and so you're kind of distracted by that.
Yes. Honestly, that's sort of interesting.
I mean, you've been around for quite a long time, so the idea of some of the stuff that he's talking about is bizarre to you in how new it is.
Yes.
Reiko and Jerome is you, while Edresh Tekerisket is talking about this stuff, realize that he is completely different from Davy Jones, who will just lie for the sake of it or to make himself feel better. Edrash Tekaraskit spends his time mostly in isolation and is very sure about what he is and what he's supposed to be doing. He has no need to lie to you about stuff.
Right. I honestly wasn't even expecting him to lie. I'm just trying to get an understanding.
So, Jerome, when you imply that he has made a contract with someone else and he says that he has no need for it, you just like know that he's telling the truth. There has been no one who has approached him about anything recently, as far as you can tell. But Reiko, a little bit further with your insight, that makes you think that if something has happened recently and if no one has directly approached him about it, maybe that's the thing that he is thinking about. As in, why has this happened if he doesn't know the cause of it?
Right.
No. I have not needed to make a contract with anyone since the first and the only. When long past, after my brothers and sisters had long been lost to time, when I carried on devouring those in my path, until it appeared, that which consumes all and cannot be consumed even by me. When first I beheld it, I thought it was my reflection, that being which brings the end. After all, it had always been I who had done that to others, and yet now it had come for me, and I understood how for how long I had been doing its work for it. And that was why it offered me that contract. Really to make official that which I had been doing independently for so long. But now I would work for it in an official capacity. Until the little ones came. The little ones which could understand the little things, could see the smaller details of its work and what needed to be done. Until he came, and then him and her, and you, little brother.
And Edrash Tekaraskit actually turns and looks directly at Gideon when he says this.
Gideon will just nod respectfully, honestly, at this point. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's what I don't know what you guys want to do next.
That's a very good
I
question.
had a question in the back of my head. Give me a moment to find it again.
Yeah, okay. I did just kind of like allude to a lot of stuff, so it's okay if you need a moment.
Yeah, there's definitely a bigger fish out there.
This is an idle thought, actually, on Jerome. Can I do a nature check to kind of like determine?
Sure.
Oh, of course, it's terrible.
Nope.
Never mind.
He's a big shark.
Big shark.
It's big shark.
Big ass shark.
Big shark.
I mean, I will say this, Jerome, like you came from a time that was like, you would have died like what, around 20-ish years ago, 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah, he died probably right around 2000.
Yeah. So even with that, I feel like you would be passingly familiar with, like ancient sharks and such. And it is clear to you after having been around him for a bit that Edrash Tekeresket, in terms of how old he would have had to be, is in the realm of millions of years old, or at least lived millions of years ago. So that, even with like you not having a very high nature check, kind of lets you know that in terms of what he is talking about, he probably pre-exists any human concept of death or human understanding of death, because he predates humans.
Yes.
Right. So a more primal. What's the word I'm looking for here?
Mm-hmm.
This is a force. This isn't like a cause.
And anyone here, since we're kind of going on that path, can make some sort of like knowledge check, insight check, anything that you feel comfortable with. Like if it's a bit of a stretch, I'll ask you to justify it. But
I can I do religion in the interpretation of it being knowledge death?
Yes, absolutely.
Now I wish I had my reroll.
I do Arcana in the idea that it is something old and eldritch that would probably have a lot of legends about it.
Yes.
I just can't roll today. All right.
He is old and unknowable and mysterious to you. Like, sorry.
There's like 5 cults dedicated to him. Gotcha.
I guess I'll go with religion also. Same vein as Reiko. I could do that or history. They're the same rules. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, sure.
23.
Okay.
But yeah, Gideon is sort of going on. I'm sort of sitting here staring at the base. What is basically the first Reaper, realistically.
I mean, as far as you have heard,
yes,
that is kind of it. But breaking it down...
one of the very first, I should say.
Sorry. Hang on a sec.
There's a colony of mushrooms out there that's just bristling.
Yep. Sorry, I unplugged my headphones. And
Whoops.
So Yep. It was just a second or two, though. What you kind of get from what Edrash Tekeresket is talking about is that idea that Ash and Word explained of like this is like a primal conception of a Reaper.
Concept. That was the word. Primal concept. That was it. Thank you.
You know, like there is an instinctive fear of death that a lot of creatures have, even if they don't have that very human hang up over the thing that at the end is going to come for me and take my soul. That is a very human concept, but there is a concept of the end that a lot of living creatures have at their core.
Yep.
It is the thing that makes them want to keep on trying to survive.
Yep.
And so prior to the invention of human languages and understanding and stuff like that, there was a thing that they understood death to be, and that death basically ended up taking Edrash Tekeresket under its wing and having it be a sort of progenitor to the concept of being a Reaper.
Right.
Edrash Tekeresket does not work with the Reapers. He does not talk to them. They don't really have anything to do with him because he is still that very primal being.
Right.
And so humans don't typically think of a shark coming to get them when they die. There's
a lot of marine creatures out there, however, and an apex predator would be real scary.
Yeah. And also in that line, it would be very unusual for a human to be collected by Edrash Tekeresket, especially one that was supposed to be collected by Davy Jones.
Yes.
Right. And that's going to lead to the question that I was trying to remember. So Reiko is going to go about the rather specific conditions of the plotted demise of our quarry here, and is curious. Does that sound like anything familiar to you? Like, does this ritual mean something to you?
In terms of taking someone out to sea and murdering them?
Like a specific distance and whatnot. Like, have you heard of this before?
Humans, you have this concept of rules. That if you follow the instructions, that things will always be the way that they are meant to be. You fail to understand that it does not matter what you do. Things will end as they end. Just as I fail to understand that it did not matter whom I sought to devour. It was always, if it were anyone's intent for it to happen, it would have been that being that determines how all things end. But, yes, I know of beings that have that mistaken impression that they can control these things. They come along from time to time, always thinking that they can control, always being mistaken, always finding out too late. When eventually either my jaws surround them, or one of the Reaper's scythes takes them, or they fall to illness, or hunger, some more boring fate. Always it happens. Yes, that must be it. I feel that if there is a reason that things have unfolded the way that they have, then it is so that you would all be here, talking to me. It always was too clever for me to understand in time.
We're being baited towards you. Interesting.
Bait implies that one thing is being sacrificed for another. This is no baiting.
We're being driven. Someone's got a plan and we're playing into it.
The soul that I devoured before, that came into my path. Initially because some foolish creature, person, perhaps, thought that they could manipulate the arrangements that my benefactor has had set in place for some long time, to drive them into Davy Jones' clutches. Yet, that day that I devoured them, I was on a path that I had not intended to be on. I did not think anything of it at the time. I went about my path, and I saw prey before me, and I do as I always do. I ate it. I did not think anything at all of the fact that it was not some creature of the depths, but a surface walker that should not have encountered me at the end of its life. But now I see why. It was so that you would all follow it here to me. Curious. This suggests that you are here to learn something from me, but I have never been a good teacher.
All I can think of is Dan saying, "Well, I've never been a good student, so that didn't stop me."
Hey!
he starts to swim a little bit closer and starts to actually directly face you. And he directly approaches each of you. And it's kind of hard to tell that he's doing this at first.
Right.
But he's kind of studying each of you in turn as he kind of circles around you again. Kind of just not even like peering at you, because sharks don't do that.
Right.
But he is clearly kind of lingering in front of each of you a little bit more as he circles around you a little bit closer.
Right.
Tell me this. What is it that all things that have ever existed have in common?
They
They die.
end.
Yeah.
Exactly. Before I ended, I had the mistaken impression that I controlled what things ended and which did not. After all, none could defeat me. Whether it be some massive creature of the depths that saw its end at my jaws, whether it had been some of my brethren who thought that I had taken too much of my fill and challenged me. Always I was the one that controlled how things ended. But that was a mistake. I, in the end, was merely a pawn. And there have been so many other pawns in the past, all thinking that they have that control. But it is always truly the one playing the game. Always the one in control.
If
Do
it's
you
a game,
understand, small ones?
Jerome's just kind of like has his wing up to his chin.
if
He's
it's a
like-
game, what are the stakes?
There could be none greater.
All right, everything's on the line. Got it.
Jerome is very much thinking. He's like, you're referring to perhaps not the first, but the previous death.
There is no previous death.
There was always a previous.
No, there's always just death.
That is the mistake that you have made, and the mistake that is always made. Thinking that there is something to usurp,
No.
to overthrow. But there is danger in having that perception. After all, if there is a being that goes about the depths, thinking it controls what happens within its waters, then even if it is mistaken, it will cause unrest. Schools will not navigate the waters how they should. They will avoid the creature that threatens them. The ocean would fall out of balance. Ecosystems would not be fed properly, would not be cultured properly. Now, forget the oceans that you know of in your life and think of instead this ocean and how that would affect things. Y'all can make an insight check too.
Sure.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
I'm sitting here thinking, what the hell is his motivation?
Mm-hmm.
Really? One? Pass a 15.
So that is a 17 from Tan?
Yes.
Okay. Tan. A lot of the difficulty of understanding Edrash Tekeresket is that he can express himself to you, but his idea of not only talking about things, but even conceiving of them is very different from what all of you have. You get the impression that he knows exactly what is going on, but even though he is directly talking in your minds, it's almost impossible for him to express it in a way, in a way articulated, but even like have the same way of conceiving it that any of you would. But from kind of reading in between the lines, as if, it's in a way like talking, interpreting someone in a different language after like running it through a translator and discovering that there are things that can't translate.
Right.
The impression that you have is that Edrash Tekeresket is saying to you that the reason you are here to talk to him is to learn from his example, that he thought that he was in control always. And although he was mistaken, the actions that he committed while alive had great effects in the world and in the afterlife.
Okay. Trying to think about the implications of that phrasing there. Because it also plays into the whole point of like that there's thinking that there's something to usurp, it sort of plays into the notion of like having a flawed view of like the purpose of life and death in a sense. And sort of like the read I'm getting on that, but trying to think here. I'm trying to think about that. Like, what would be the take from that?
That's up to you.
Yeah. I'm just, like I said, I don't have the quick like idea in the head for it.
It's okay. This is all deliberately weird stuff. So.
Right.
We're in the ocean of LSD.
You're talking to a shark.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess my thought about all this is that the shark that we're talking to, at least has expressed effectively either a misunderstanding or a mistake that it has made.
Not even really a mistake, so much as it was wrong about how things worked.
Right. And so I'm thinking about like that sort of implication, like what, and then if you ask the question, what is the way things work? I'm fairly sure the answer might be, that's not known yet, or it can't be known.
All right, let me see here how I can express this. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just gonna talk some shit through here. So, something's been manipulating things. King Shark McGillicuddy seems to think it's Big D. So what would to get us to here? So what would be the point that Big D would get us here? My first thought is looking for a successor, but that doesn't jive with what Big Shark McGillicuddy's saying, because he always is and always will be sort of so there's no point searching for a successor. So that brings us to the question of what the fuck are we doing here? And the shark and learning about troll and whatnot.
So my thought, this is sort of, and this is just sort of, I'm not sure I think Dan is right that death is sort of setting us on course to talk to Edrash here. But it's not so much that death is looking for a successor. It is I think the implication is someone is trying to muck about with the way death works. Little d death, not big D. Someone is arguably trying to usurp that which cannot be usurped, which is causing problems. TM.
Yeah,
that's my read on. That's my interpretation of it.
And in terms of everything, kind of in the what's at stake is basically the fundamental way reality works effectively.
Yes, that's my read, but I'm not sure how. So, all right. Gideon will sort of have sat there pondering this for a while, and I'm assuming that Dan is sort of like at least sort of muttering this sort of thing under his breath, at least, so I can pick up on that. So that the whole sort of looking for success thing, but that's stupid. Death can't have a successor. Which will sort of give you a pause, sort of have a gear clicking to head into position sort of moment. This is only my interpretation of the Elder's words here, but the implication seems to be to me that our meeting has been arranged by my superior, shall we say. My employer, the one who made the deal with you. And in order to point us at the possibility that what is going on is someone is attempting to interfere with the way death, not the being, but the process works, in sort of an attempt to arguably, not intentionally, but effectively usurping that which cannot be usurped. And this would have negative consequences upon the way things operate. Is my read at all accurate?
I cannot speak to the second thing that you suggest. But what I can with confidence say is there's only ever been one being that has been able to steer my course. I deviated from my path some days ago in order to devour the person you call Trelawney. There is only one thing that could have done that to me. As to what could have put Trelawney in that position to begin with, that I do not know. But, yes, your surmising seems to make sense to me.
So everything is at stake then?
Yes.
Very well. Interesting.
It is my thought that... and this is unusual, but perhaps this was one that I was not meant to keep. And he circles around until he's, kind of like in a course that's in front of all of you, in terms of like where you're positioned with the anchor and his original path. And his body kind of contorts up a little bit, like he's almost cramping up.
Yep.
And his jaw opens, and a body comes out.
Aha.
Well, that's a nice party trick.
I will endeavor to recover said body.
All right.
Reiko will applaud the party trick. Because applauding gross party tricks from Reaper or Reaper adjacent entities seems to be her thing.
Yeah, fair enough.
Hey Gideon, what's your gross party trick?
Gideon will, as he's recovering the body, Gideon will look very perplexed by the concept.
To which Reiko will just kind of giggle to herself, mission complete.
Gross party I do not do party tricks. Gross or not.
I'll say I can do gross. I can do gross. I can do tricks, but I can do parties maybe, but not all three at once.
I mean, I've been to parties and I've seen tricks and I've seen things that I guess things that most sentients would consider to be gross, but you know.
Okay.
I've been tricked into going into a party once.
I've never been tricked into that. I've merely acquiesced to a somewhat seemingly reasonable request.
All right.
Anyways,
you have recovered this body, and I'm going to say that since you guys were looking at newspaper articles and stuff, that you do, although he looks kind of pallid and beat up a bit, you do recognize the face of Denzel Trelawney.
Ah, okay. Excellent. Oh, Jones is not going to like what I'm going to be doing.
Yes, yeah, Jerome's is got something that it's like. I just had a thought. If whatever force is guiding us put our aquatic friend here in our path to take this instead of Jones, why did it not want Jones to have it?
That's so that we would come to talk. So we would come to talk to the elder here.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Jerome, you can also roll an insight check for me. 18.
Nice.
All right. Davy Jones keeps all souls on his ship for at least a year.
Ah.
Yeah. It's Jerome's like, but like we would still, from what we've heard, we still would have looked for Davy Jones.
Oh, sure. And, he would have played a game with you and tried to keep you from getting at it. So,
yeah.
Yeah. I suppose the entire endeavor here was just to talk to our friend Ed here.
Since you rolled quite well, I will tell you that the manipulation that you've been under in order to get you to Edrush to Karasket was to your benefit.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was noticing that. It was like there wasn't really a downside to speaking with this individual. Reiko's thrilled at this point. It's like, I have learned so much today. It's like she hasn't even been dead for a month and she knows so much already.
Well, Gideon has now had it confirmed he is not the oldest Reaper, and he thinks that's actually kind of neat.
Not by far.
Not even close. Not even close. And that's kind of it's like, interesting.
The only
Very
thing
impressive.
the only thing that is in question is if Edrush to Karasket is a Reaper, because which is really just an official title.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Now I got a question here. For our shark friend, is an SNR just means soul not reefed? Is that what it means? You're like, yeah, you got that. You're getting the worst from me. I'm sorry. So
I mean, he doesn't have an alphabet, so
All right, so okay, I'm just sort of thinking about what my plans are for Trelawney here. And all right, yeah, I think I know what I'm gonna do, and Jones is not gonna like it, but I think I've got an angle for it. So okay.
All right.
Anyways, I'm trying to think if there's anything else we need to do with Edrush here. I don't think so. So I think Gideon will turn and sort of bow respectfully a little bit, and thank you again, Elder, for your time. This information has been most enlightening.
Indeed, thank you.
Yes.
I think it unlikely we will cross paths again, but if it does, I hope it goes as cordially as it did this time.
More than likely, it would not.
That seems likely, unfortunately. That does seem likely. May your hunts continue to be fruitful.
No need to wish such fortune upon me. They always will be. But the courtesy is appreciated, Reaper Gideon.
Indeed.
I hope that you all find the answers that you so doggedly seek. And without much further ceremony, he turns and starts to swim away.
Good. All right. Excellent.
All right. Let's take a shot at him when he's not looking.
I wanted to give him a present.
Do you want me to quote unquote roll dice for a combat?
No. God, no. No.
Turn.
I know when something doesn't have stats.
There are 5 quotes around roll dice.
As I said, I know when there's an individual that doesn't actually have stats in front of me.
Yeah, right. I think it is now time to leave before he turns
around. I will secure Trelawney and tug the rope 3 times rhythmically.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Tug, tug, tug.
You guys get hauled up onto the ship, unless one of you, wants to just like check out this mostly featureless ocean floor.
I'll pass on that option. Thank you.
Cool. And you are brought aboard the ship again. Everyone who is not an official Reaper, just give me a Constitution roll with advantage.
With advantage, okay.
20, 21, 11, and that 20 for Tan. Okay, that makes sense. So after you guys are pulled out of the water, all of you kind of have water pouring off of you, except Gideon. You just kind of like exude your morphological field, and it
oh yeah. By the way, I've stopped being in full Reaper form. By the way,
right. Reiko, you're still getting used to this whole like I'm in control of how I'm supposed to appear thing. You're not like the crew members who are just like constantly looking like they just came out of a pool and so the water's pouring off of them, but you're still dripping for a little bit after you come out.
I'm glad I didn't wear white today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fair.
You were. I mean, you would have been happy you weren't wearing white while you were down in the water. Yeah.
Sure, but like, somehow I don't think Mega Shark cares too much.
I mean, we're all dead, so...
You're kind of like given a big, heavy towel over you at Davy Jones' request, to which some of the crew are like, wait, he has towels? What the fuck?
He never said that. We never had it.
Motherfucker, even holding out.
He said there's no room in the budget for towels. What is this?
There isn't any room in the budget for towels. I don't have a budget.
So technically,
next you're going to say that those TPS reports were all just busy work to keep us placid and happy with our day-to-day work now.
Yes.
No, those are essential. You need to fill them out in triplicate at all times
with the proper cover letters.
And make sure you only use blue or black ink.
Yes, I have Trelawney with me.
Trelawney is, by the way, just pouring water.
That's fine.
Him. I'm going to roll a quick thing here. That's a pretty good roll. He actually starts to stir after you guys get up onto the ship.
Good. Mr. Trelawney, you seem to be rejoining the world of the dead.
What?
Congratulations, you're dead.
Yes.
He sees pirates and a skull face and an abyss face and an owl and a changeling and like one Japanese teenager looking down at him. And
she's not a teenager. She is out of that range.
A Japanese 20-year-old, whatever.
College student.
Looking down at him. And is bewildered and starts stuttering and shaking.
Hi.
Yeah,
You're
that's
okay.
pretty much how it's supposed to go.
What?
Yes, Mr. Trelawney,
Yeah,
you are dead.
You're dead. We're going to get you processed and taken care of and off to whatever afterlife you've earned for yourself.
Persuasion check.
For me?
Yeah, that's
anyone.
Yeah.
Anyone.
Oh, anyone, huh? All right. I didn't roll that good.
I mean, I can roll. In theory, I'm good at this. That's 17.
Imagine Jerome's
practice, you're good at this.
It starts trying to talk. Like, oh god, the owl talks too.
I
It takes a little bit of doing. This is a bit more of a stressful environment than even.
I'm not actually trying to actively. I'm trying to get him to be like to not scream. Basically, I'm not going for much beyond that.
It's just like screams constantly.
It takes a little bit of doing, given that you're in a kind of a stressful environment. But Trelawney does kind of over a little bit of time come to grips with the fact that he has died. And once he kind of comes to that, he does have this look about him like he's not actually all that surprised about it.
Right. Good. At any rate, yes, we'll be bringing you back to the office to discuss a few things with you, ask some questions, and do some processing.
Wait, what?
Yes, we are taking. Yeah. Yes, we will have to be taking Mr. Trelawney with us. However, anticipating your objection, Captain Jones, I am aware that he is technically he is a part of your domain, and he is supposed to be in your with your crew for a year by the way the rules are written. I am merely borrowing him, making sure the proper paperwork is filed, and we have a chance to ask him the questions I wish to ask him. Then we will return him to you for the stint where he's supposed to serve in your crew.
All right, that is definitely going to be a persuasion.
I figured it.
Yeah.
Assist. Reiko's been probably the nicest person to
if anyone's developed a friendly relationship, if anyone's developed a friendly relationship with Jones, it's probably you.
So I get advantage on this, then I take it.
Yes.
Okay. 18.
All right, I'll accompany ye to Eternal Affairs, and we'll work out a transfer and how long it'll last. Somehow I get the impression this won't be a temporary arrangement, but not much I can do about it now.
Not really.
Very well. With that, I will pull up my scythe and open a portal back to Limbo.
Yeah, that probably is just going to be easier to do than just going through the motions of everything. So, we can either just like cut things off here, or I can do a quick break. And honestly, the stuff that I have to tell you from Trelawney's end won't take me too long. But I'm going to need a minute in order to step away.
Sure. That's fine. I will say I do have to wrap up at something close to our normal time. But other than that, yes.
Right. Okay. I'll be right back.
Yep, no problem. But yes, Gideon making the point that he could have just left at any time.
Yeah.
And come back. Not meaning to, but making the point that yes, I could have come back immediately and just gone right back to the office afterwards. And not spend my time working here. It just didn't occur to me.
Giant shark person. Well, not shark person, but...
Giant shark.
Yeah.
A shark large enough to probably not have been bothered by mosasaurs.
Like,
yeah.
Well, he was bothered, but bothered not by like intimidation, but bothered just because that thing just had some bad opinions, man.
Well, yeah. It's a shark large enough that mosasaur would not have been an apex predator to it.
Yeah. I think that's what we call ourselves a megalodon there.
No,
that's a megalodon.
No, megalodons were... Mosasaurs fucked up megalodons.
Yeah, exactly.
Mosasaurs were the apex predator at the time.
A mega megalodon.
Yes, that's what I'm basically saying.
A gigalodon.
There is
1.21 gigasharks.
Yeah.
1.21 gigasharks.
There's a terrifying thought.
That's a lot of fucking sharks.
It really is.
I've been thinking about like Davy Jones' stories, just like, yes, in those times I would have to go upstream both ways in order to get to where I needed to go. You see, this is how we did things back in my day. In my day, we used to call it Flounder Fantasy 3, but now it's Flounder Fantasy 6. I mean, what is that all about, really?
Oh, dear.
I'm in this picture and I don't like it. I played the original Final Fantasy 2. Yes, 2, not 4.
Yes. I will say that one of my favorite things from Tim Rogers is just the shenanigans he gets up to during his Doom review, because there's just the whole Doom poserism he talks about. There's also just the lines of, like, playing Doom a nightmare sucks. In fact, I would say that it becomes not a good game. I kind of hate it, but also I love it. It's just like... I will say, though, he did actually commit to his promise to not do that over-exasperated sort of bit during his Season 2 review, Boku no Natsu Yasumi, and it seems more normal effect rather than caricature effect.
All right, and I'm back.
Hooray!
Welcome back.
Okay. So, we'll skip forward a little bit through the paperwork, essentially.
The not interesting part.
Yeah,
the stuff that's not interesting to anyone but Gideon, basically.
Yeah. Gideon's in his element for a big part of this. But
seeing as how this is actually like a fresh filing, I'm not certain that Reiko has seen this yet, so I think she's actually interested too, although for different reasons.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, you can like kind of fulfill your kind of intern-ish kind of role of, like, kind of looking like, I'm sure that, like, whoever is helping you through the paperwork is probably like kind of pointing stuff out to you and stuff. But the long and short of it is that things are kind of put into a temporary situation, at least for now, in terms of what's going to be done with Denzel Trelawney, in terms of where his soul's going to turn up. Davy Jones has to, like, go through a process he's very annoyed with, which is putting in, like, an opinion that Trelawney should be turned over to him. However, to kind of skip ahead a little bit, he runs into a bit of a situation where he had erased records of Trelawney being on his ship.
Well, he was never. Trelawney was never on his ship.
Yep. So it's kind of coming back to bite him. It's like, oh wait, so he in a way he kind of forfeited his kind of claim to being able to do that, which he's going to try and challenge and everything. But
that is no longer Gideon's problem.
It's no longer Gideon's problem. Yeah. So Trelawney might potentially end up back on Davy Jones' ship, but in the meantime, he is in Limbo, available for you guys to question and try and find things out from.
Excellent.
So in a time after there's a bit of quiet, and Trelawney is kind of given a big towel and sponges, honestly, to kind of mop up some of the water that is coming off of him. He's been given a nice hot cup of tea, and he is being made as comfortable as possible while you guys are free to talk to him.
So, all right. So I'm gonna have to ask a question because I'm forgetting something. Beyond him having disappeared in the same town around the same time as our SNR, Cecilia Teague, do we have anything else that connected him to her? I don't remember.
Not directly.
Okay.
The reason that Trelawney came up was because of the haunting that was going on in town, which ended up being the work of a Strigoi, who was the recently deceased criminal
who killed
Rich.
Yes, Adrian Davies, who was also a member of the Scuttlers, a smuggling and laundering criminal group that operated throughout England, that Denzel Trelawney had been a bookkeeper for.
Okay.
And Adrian Davies doesn't know why, but he was tasked with killing Trelawney. along with a couple other people, and then he was killed because it seemed like he wasn't going to be able to keep it a secret because he had some hang-ups about killing a guy who hadn't done anything.
So I actually do have. I now actually do have questions. Good. All right. Yeah. So, Mr. Trelawney.
Mr. Gideon, Wirt.
Yes. Gideon. Yes.
I'll do my best to. I know I'm dead, but it's going to take a bit of getting used to, apparently.
I've been told that is the case, yes. At least for some people. I say pointedly not looking at Reiko. I just have a few questions. I have a few questions which that you might be able to help us with. I'm not entirely certain.
Well, I suppose I'll do my best. This wouldn't happen to have anything to do with how I died?
Well, it might. I'm not certain. That is one of the things I do need to ask you about. I do. So, do you have any idea of why the Scuttlers wanted you eliminated?
Oh, yes. Unfortunately.
Ah.
I figured it makes sense that I were caught. I noticed something I shouldn't have. Dug a bit too deep and didn't do a very good job of covering up the fact that I was poking my nose where they didn't want it being poked.
Right.
In a way, it's their own fault for bringing me in the first place, but that's what happens if, you need someone to cook the books, is that sometimes they need to have access to things that you don't want them to have access to. The long and short of it is that Secondhand Reg, who's the leader of the Scuttlers, he had employed me for some time, going back a few years now, to, especially when they were in town, to manipulate the records of their finances to make sure that everything appeared to be above board, for the businesses that they ran secretly and such like.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as it turned out, it's going to be a bit difficult to explain. I don't know how much you know about accounting and such like.
Very little.
Right. Okay, I'll try and explain the best I can. I noticed, while I was going through some of the records, that Reg had certain finances that weren't adding up on some of the businesses that he was connected to. There were some that were clearly operated at a loss that shouldn't have been. When you launder money, that you expect certain things to quote unquote be running at a loss or operating at a loss in order to cover up for certain others, But I could tell that this weren't the case on a few of them. There was just money that they were clearly taking in that weren't coming through the business itself. What I eventually found after I did some digging was that the money that were coming in that weren't attached to income and weren't laundered to look like income had been coming from an outside source. An outside source that had been paying Reg in order to do certain activities. I can't tell you exactly what, but I can tell you this. The reason why I got into this to begin with. Look, you want to run a drug business. Some people have vices. Some people need things to deal with. I can appreciate that and not concern myself with where they're getting it from, even if it's a disgusting man like Reg. After all, I took his money, didn't I? I'm no one to judge. Stolen goods, well, that's... who cares? It's some people have and some people haven't. And as far as I'm concerned, someone who evens that out, it's not that big a problem. But when it comes to affecting people's health directly, that's when it can be a bit of a concern. My community and many others has not been doing so well in terms of how the lack of doctors as they've aged out and started to retire has been affecting their well-being. And a lot of people can't afford to go and see a physician or go to a clinic when they need that help. Instead, they turn to simply getting the substance that they need. And Reg knew that they would go to the source that would give him relief. And that was why it didn't make sense that the income didn't match what it should have been. I thought this makes no sense. When it comes to medical drugs, you can make as much money as you need to. You can essentially by providing things to the right suppliers where the demand is. So why is there money missing? Reg wasn't keeping track of certain things that he was supplying to clinics in the area because he didn't need to make money off of the substance. Someone was already paying him to put those substances there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what he's been putting there, but if there's someone out in my community who's been taking something for, I don't know, for headaches or for diabetes, and it's been coming from some source and they don't need to make money off of selling the legitimate product. You can make so much money off of insulin or anything if you have access to it and will sell it. So why do you need to pump it up somehow? If it's something else and he's being paid to put poison in the medicine of my community, that was why I had to find out what was going on.
Ah.
And that was why they needed to kill me.
Fascinating. All right, well. Very well. One other question then, which is, I'm hopeful to some degree. Actually, I'm not going to say that. I'm not sure how much of a connection this will have to the first topic, but do you have any connection or knowledge beyond the superficial of Cecilia Teague?
The painter?
Yes.
Oof. Never met her. No, can't say that I do. I mean, most that could have ever happened is maybe we went to the same event and I just weren't aware of it one time.
Interesting.
Jerome kind of like he's stroking his owlish beard. He's like, these medications you mentioned, would they include chlorthalidone?
Whew. I'm afraid that's. I'm an accountant, sir, Sir Owl. I'm no chemist. I've never worked in a pharmacy of any kind. I have no idea what that is, or if you just made it up even.
Mm.
Now, it would be possible that yes, that might be one of the things that Rouge were providing to the pharmacy that. Or that someone were paying him to supply to the pharmacy, because he weren't making money off of his cut of the sales. At least not nearly with what matched the profit he were making from doing that whole line of business.
Yeah, Jerome's like, it was just a guess. It's when we investigated Cecilia's home, we found a number of prescription medications there.
What pharmacy had been providing it to her?
I don't have that in the notes, but we did look at them.
I will list. Gideon will mention the name because I'm certain Gideon remembers it.
Yeah, he snaps his fingers and points. He's like, there's only so many pharmacies in that town. That were one of the ones that were taking supplies from Reg. So, if her prescription were coming through there, there's a whole likelihood that if there was something wrong with it, Reg would be the cause.
And there is the
or more accurately, whoever was providing Reg with those products to begin with.
Right.
Jerome kind of looks over at Gideon. There was also those medications that our friend with the dog had.
True, but that was in Florida.
Were they a pharmacist or a harmacist? You'll never know.
Yeah!
Pharmacist is a great supervillain name.
It really is, actually.
All right.
The pharmacist.
Spider-Man, you'll never defeat the genius of the pharmacist!
I will defeat you with grossly inflated prices that you'll never survive paying with your lack of health insurance as a freelancer.
I mean,
You're a genius medical expert. You could cure cancer if you wanted to. But I don't want to cure cancer. I want to stop people with the grossly inflated medical prices.
I want to make lots of money in a horrible, evil fashion.
Do I get off on it? Yes.
At any rate,
I don't want people to have affordable insulin. I want to turn them into dinosaurs.
That's a better excuse than most people in that position have.
It's true.
Like turning people into dinosaurs, at least entertaining in some way.
Yeah.
At any rate, okay, we have an angle now. That actually might be that. So Reg has a connection to the pharmacy that Miss Teague used. Yes, but yes, we are investigating what Miss Teague's has apparently, according to our records, passed away. Unfortunately, we do not know. She has not gone where she is supposed to go.
What do you mean? She's like not in heaven?
She's not anywhere, as far as we're aware.
Oh, is that not how it's supposed? I'm sorry. I'm only just learning that there is a waiting room in the afterlife. So
the limbo. You are in limbo, specifically.
All right.
You aware of the concept?
Yes. I'm not really all that surprised that I'm here, honestly.
Right. Well, yes. Miss Teague Miss Teague had a place she was supposed to go. She never arrived there. We are trying to find out where we're trying to find her so we can get her to where she's supposed to go. Wherever that may be.
Well, I see. I'm afraid that I'm probably more lost than you are.
Understandable. The term, I'm not going to go into the details here because, telling him she's a soul not reaped, he'll be like, what?
What?
It's a common thing everyone learns about. Didn't you learn it in Reaper School? You didn't go to Reaper School? Oh, I'm surprised about that, huh?
Well, you have been I basically. Do we have any other angles we want to? Anything else we want to ask him about? I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I'm freely admitting that might just be I'm forgetting something.
Yeah, I'm.
Did we establish who was paying Reg?
He doesn't know. From what he said, doesn't seem like he knew who was paying Reg.
Well, we might.
So I'll double check. So, Mr. Trelawney, do you have any idea of who it was who was paying your employer?
I was trying to find that out. Honestly, I should have gotten out when I knew that there was something untoward going on, but I thought that if I could find the connection, because look, anyone who can supply that kind of thing to a criminal, it goes beyond just the fact that the criminal has access to the medicine and the drugs. It's the person that's supplying it to him that also needs to be dealt with, I thought. And if I had just gone to the police earlier, then maybe things would have ended different.
It is a possibility, yes, I suppose. I'm not certain of that. The butterfly effect is potent. At any rate,
Mr.
Oh, go ahead, please, Ash.
Mr. Trelawney, I think we only have one more thing to ask you. Where can we find Reg?
Well, that I might be able to help you with. I think we might end there.
Oh, good. Yeah, by the way, that is a question that Gideon would not have thought to ask. It's like, he's gonna say, I can finding a human is not hard. You've got it just takes time, and Gideon's got time. Oh wait, they can die of old age before
Can we find them? Do they have to be alive? Yes. Shit. Okay. Change the plan.
No, look, if I just wait outside the arrival gate, eventually he'll come to me.
Honestly, yes. Like worst case scenario, that is actually on the list. Yes.
It's called despawn camping. You know, it's an amazing idea.
So this is my interpretation of Jerome this session.
All right, y'all. I think that's going to do it for this session of D&D Abeyance. So everyone listening, thank you for joining us. We'll be back next time.
Yep. All right. Thanks for watching, folks. We're going to end the recording here. We'll be back when we're next back, whatever that will be.
Yeah. And thank you guys for playing this week.
Thanks for Yep. And we will see you all real soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, buddy.
Bye, everyone.